It for a long time. It hurts. Welcome back, actually. Of course, I'm your host, Kakarite Karen, and my introduction is absolutely terrible. I am sorry. And this is a Miracle Worker video, and of course, we're going to begin with the ship stats. Okay, when I press ship, I meant ship. Yeah, I meant to say the ship stats. This is a beam overload build, which I hope I have it on beam overload. Yes, I do. So, yeah, this is a beam overload build. And for the perfect choice of this Miracle Worker build for the video is the Terran Lexington, which seems to be like everybody's literal favorite ship right now. And I literally thought in my head, oh, why don't I get one? Why don't I get a Lexington? Because of course it's perfect, because Miracle Worker ships are perfect for their energy weapon damage and their base damage overall. It's one of the most flavored it's the most flavored kind of ships rather than Temporal or Intel. Well, for Intel I would actually suggest the Kelvin Timeline Intel Dreadnought. Many people would say, oh, the Kelvin Timeline shit and all. Okay, but if you're a DPS chaser, what choice do you really have? Well, there's a Scrayer and there's a Mirror Warship, but the Mirror Warship doesn't have that much seating in it, so you're kind of stuck with the Kelvin Timeline. It's a full temporal ship. Not to mention, it's kind of badass looking. If you want like a Section 31 kind of build, then I'd say go with that. But today's not about the Intel specializations. I think I have done it months ago. We're going to do the Miracle Worker, because of course I want to finish this off with the Temporal being the last one. So with Miracle Worker, all this is energy phaser focused, which I have mostly like vanilla flavored phasers on here, along with the Trilithium and the Agony. Of course I tried to put some Agony phasers on here, but I couldn't really find any. I didn't even bother to try to open any lot boxes to find a perfect Omni for it. First we're gonna go ahead and go with the phaser wide dual angle heavy beam bank, and this one, of course, it does a massive amount of phaser damage, and it causes enemy shields to deal 15% increased damage over 10 seconds, and it is part of the, I believe it is part of Lorca's ambition, in which I do not know why it's 2 to 3. I think I'll have to get rid of you. It's probably going to say inventory full as well, because okay, there we go. Yeah, it should be, it's part of the Lorca's ambition set, which is of course War Discretion. It stacks on crit severity, dealing crit chance. So every time you deal a critical hit, which if your critical hit is pretty high, then yes, this isn't going to be a problem. So, of course, your stacks is going to be up to 25% crit severity. So that's pretty damn good for the crit severity stack buff. So if your crit chance is high, then this is actually a good set. Overall, the whole entire set itself is better. Even just one of the sets, you don't even have to put 2 on there. You could just have 1. But the third one, it makes your dark matter torpedo like a experimental weapon, a 360-degree firing arc, which of course enemies below 50% health, a torpedo for each second. Of course it hits. Of course it does 1 torpedo per enemy, which basically makes your ship more like an which makes the set more like an experimental weapon, rather than just like a full set like something else per se. But yeah, it is a pretty good set. I normally use that on 100% of my builds for the most part. And this one is actually the Dark Matter Quantum Lace Torpedo. This is actually also one of my favorite torpedoes and one of the main ones I use in the game. Many people really ask like, how you kill so fast? Oh, this thing's like, you're a damn killing machine. I'm like, I don't think so. There are many others who are faster at killing and do higher DPS and like one-shot enemies more than I do. Of course, Augie being one of my, of course, me being a fanboy of Augie, don't tell him that. he's actually one of the top DPSers and actually led me to, of course, he inspired me to do these build videos. So, of course, I might actually put him in the I might actually put a link down below. So if you want to check him out, feel free to do so. We have the Dark Matter Lace Torpedo. It does some physical damage. Of course, if I was on a combat map, then that one would be probably at least 1 or 2k damage, and it does it 1 second over 20 seconds. And I believe this is also some other stuff, which is the reputation. Of course, I'm gonna not do the reputation because I'm gonna try to speed run this video because I want to do the temporal one as well. It's kind of like my favorite, and the one I go further in depth for. So the temporal, I'll probably go further in depth into why, because it's my main ship is actually a full temporal ship. Of course, it's not the Acheron anymore, but it's the Universe class. I actually originally wanted the Valkyrie, but of course, game said no, pick the Universe, so I chose that. I wanted a big capital ship. I'm tired of all these little tiny ships that, of course, they're strong, but I want a big capital ship that also can do the same thing. But back to what I was saying, it does some physical damage and stuff. Like out of combat, it still does 1k, probably 2k in combat. Of course, it has the same stacks. And this is the prolonged engagement. This one is it's a little bit better, but it's like if you have nothing else to put on there, this would probably be good for you. Like I have nothing else to put on here because I'm more likely disruptor flavored than phasered, so most likely I'm gonna have to put something on there that's like ultra rare or better. So of course, this applies some amplified relays, which is per stack deals 1% increased damage and 20% fire cycle haste for 8 seconds. And of course, this does the same. Where I got that from? It's from the Tilly's modified shield. That's where I get this stuff from. Your weapon attacks receive 15% increased damage, so that's per weapon. So that's pretty damn cool. And of course it does some other stuff. It does the same stuff with the reputation. Of course the prolonged engagement set is it's shitty. I have to say this, it's pretty shitty. Because if it did better than the Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo, I would have picked that. But you know how that goes when it comes to picking anything else. This stuff, it doesn't really do good. Especially with the Photonic Cascade Torpedo. Like, of course, because the fast pacing in Star Trek Online and how it is now, anything can die within like 2 seconds. Frigates, they die with just one shot, pretty much. Like, I could be on a simple scatter volley 1 and I can obliterate enemies within less than 10 seconds. And that's literally, I can do it with just running even turrets on there, which is like pretty much the weakest to cannons and phasers altogether in the game. So, nonetheless, it's not really good damage-wise because it doesn't really do anything, and not to mention it turns into like a self-damage. It turns into like a targetable torpedo, so it takes its sweet time getting there, and the time it takes to get there, people could be coming back here and destroying it, and that's something I hate. I hate when people steal kills. It's annoying, and it makes me angry. Because I'm like, I got here first. I deserve the kill. No. I deserve it. So, yeah, it's pretty aggravating. That's why I don't really use the Photonic Cascade Torpedo. Unless I'm in a story mission, or unless they nerf the living shit out of this torpedo, I have no reason to use that set. Now this, the Terran Task Force Beam Array, all Terran Task Force reputation weapons, like the phaser beam array, the cannon I have here, which is all the way down here, this one, these are cracked. These are broken. I can't explain the sheer amount of pain I can put people through with this weapon. This has been my main, and it has been my main for quite some time. And I'm talking about Terran Task Force weapons. because of course it's been my main for PvP builds. I have destroyed 18 ships. I have managed to obliterate that crackhead D7. Of course, I think I posted on my story months ago. I'm not going against him again, despite the fact I pretty much destroyed him, because I think after I went against him again, two enemy players showed up and then they jumped me until the Flying Clash Destroyer came, until some legendary pilot warship came around and saved me from total annihilation. So I have destroyed eight player ships, and destroying player ships is stupid hard. So this thing is broken, and I am surprised after all these years it's not nerfed yet. It's not nerfed yet. And I shouldn't really jinx that, because yeah, that shouldn't really yeah, it shouldn't be nerfed. Moving on. Well, actually with this set, it's not a good set pretty much. And I have to say this, like, all the Terran Task Force weapons are good. They're cracked, especially the beams and the cannons are frickin' effing cracked. They're cracked. They're broken. There's no way to describe the sheer amount of pain people can go through because of these things. Of course, the torpedo, I have not tested the torpedo, and I will test it soon. If it does do better than the quantum torpedo, because of course I'm running a full temporal ship and it relies on kinetic damage, which is why I need that. But the reason why of course, if it does better, the torpedo, if it does better than the quantum, then sure, I'll choose that, because of course the only competitor that the quantum has for me personally as a disruptor main is the Nausicaan torpedo, which of course solely does disruptor damage. So that thing can be broken if you re-engineer it for the most part. And of course, the secondary torpedo launchers, it says for 20 seconds launching a torpedo launches additional basic torpedo, the similar type on impact. And disruptor, of course, as far as destructible torpedoes and devices, launch an additional basic torpedo after 2 seconds. It basically could be for torpedo builds. But of course, there are many others who could say different and say, oh no, this ain't part of it. But I'm not a torpedo person. I don't like it. I like to stick with one torpedo, and the rest I like to have weapons where it doesn't take too long to try to fire. Plus, it kind of ruins the spacebar vibe too. The next one is the Fleet Elite Phaser Beam Array. This is my biggest regret. Out of all the regrets in my life, this is the biggest. But it's efficient, but it's big. But I prefer the Agony phasers than this crap, because this only does shield regeneration and it does nothing more. It's basically the copy and paste of the Dran-Nur phasers. And Assam, of course, his ship is pretty much kept alive because of that, the Dran-Nur, because of course it has some, like, built-in protomatter mechanic. Of course, I don't blame him, because of course I use protomatter tech too. As you can see, I have the protomatter deflector, and I believe I have the protomatter field projector from the T6 Lucaria, which is my first T6 ship. So this is basically regret. It's a shield heal, and I don't like shield heals, especially if it's on a Lexington that can barely be destroyed. Like, I believe the only time this ship has ever been destroyed was when I was in that TFO against 1,000 Borg vessels. So it's this thing is kind of worthless. The only reason why I have it is because I have nothing else to put on it. That's ultra rare. I have nothing else. Of course, these are very rare, but these are Omnis. That's the only reason why they count. Speaking of Omnis, this is the omnidirectional beam from your research, from your R&D school. This is okay, pretty much, because it's just basically it's a simple beam attack. It has no weapons proc, no nothing. It does arc, but it pretty much, all these stuff I have to put, like, there's reputation stuff on there. So that's what kind of makes it special. Moving on, the Trilithium Enhanced Phaser Beam Array from the mission The Nexus. This is an okay weapon for the most part. Who's that? Oof, scared me. I hate that noise. Yeah, this is the Trilithium beam array from the Beyond the Nexus mission. It's free, and most likely it's only good because of its firing cycle haste. It does 10% for 15 seconds. That's the only reason why it's there. For the most part. That's the only reason why. And this one is kind of my favorite, despite it being Terran, but it's an Agony Phaser Beam Array. This is now one of my favorite flavored weapons that I'm trying to get. Of course, if you put this with the Agony Redistributor, this thing is magnificent. It's just a version of basically it can kill things pretty fast. And despite it being a broadside, which I have to turn broadside anyway, it can kill pretty much. It can kill. So, of course, this does additional phaser damage, which is good. It's okay. This is the reason why I like it so much. And of course, if you add that with the Agony Redistributor, it's good. And it has a chance to disable a target, 2.5% chance, which is, it's okay, because of course I'm going to be firing broadside anyway. The next is more reputation stuff, and that's about it. And of course, we're going to go down here. We have the Achilles modified shield. Of course, it does more hull capacity. It does weapons damage to shields, which is pretty much the only two reasons why I have this stuff. Otherwise, I would have picked the bow, or I would have picked the competitive shield. Either that or the Mokai shield, whichever one. I do not care. The colony, it's for its crit chance and crit severity. The engine for the speed buff, and the warp core because of its two-piece. The two-piece, it does 150% hull 120% hull regeneration, which makes your ship unkillable. So, I mean, if your ship is a Lexington, you're definitely freaking unkillable. So, and the hangar is the Elite Mirror Universe shuttlecraft. I just decided to slap a random hangar on there. I don't want to use the Alliance fighters because I do not have superior aero denial, so I find it pretty much pointless. The rest of them, I have the cutting beam for its for the hull regen and energize and the damage resistance. This for the crit chance, crit severity. This for more resistance, hull regeneration and shield capacity. This for the hull healing and hull restoration. And this is for the pets, the 30% damage and 50% and 50% of the projectile energy damage. This is 20% damage. This is also a heal. It's like a heal within a damage within a heal for some reason. So it basically like saying it's plus 20 all damage. So if incoming heals exceeded hull limit, it will apply temporary hit points instead. So it will do that for 30 seconds, which is basically a heal for every time. You don't even have to use it. It's a heal. Aquarius Escort. Well, actually, this is a heal, but you don't have to activate it pretty much. That's the only reason why it exists, because a heal and you don't have to activate it. So Aquarius Escort, this is one of Assam's favorite toys. This is Assam's favorite ability pretty much on his Odyssey. I got it because of course I wanted to, at least I thought I could separate the saucer and I thought I could separate the saucer and the Aquarius at the same time, but apparently you can't do that. So that's Aquarius Escort. It separates from the ship. It's basically a Defiant class inside of an Odyssey class. A Chevron separation. You get that from one of the Tier 5 Odysseys. Of course, it feels like a Galaxy class, but other than that, it does. There's some minuses. There's some pluses, like turn rate and flight speed, and it's also some power. And the rest is just negative, which is pretty bad. So 10 auxiliary, 10 shields, and 13 hull capacity. Yeah, pretty bad. And the rest are some flagship technologies. I did not buy the other Odysseys because of course I had the Scimitar variants. Of course, many of you have not seen the Scimitar, but on my Instagram story I have shown the Scimitar in the past, and I have shown it a lot. It is it used to be one of my favorite ships. And it's the one that I did a shit ton of kills on. So, basically I made her into a predator of her own. So, of course, this is flagship tactical computer. This does a hell of a lot of of course, this does a lot of firing cycle haste, and it basically makes your ship like a Defiance class with the turn rate and the flight speed. And of course, this affects the whole team. Dampening wave emitter. This does nothing, but of course it's part of the flagship technologies, which is why you need it. And I believe the best part is the adaptive emergency systems, which is a bonus all damage resistance and bonus all damage. So this is good. So now we get to the good part, which is the abilities. Of course, I was this supposed to have at least some intel stuff, but of course I ran out of tactical seating when of course I was doing engineering stuff. I needed some engineering stuff on there to pretty much keep the shields up and make it immune to drain. Also, there was a new revamp update as well. Of course, the emergency powered shields and the shield polarity got a revamp. They are now immune to teleport, shield drain, and teleport, shield drain, and other control abilities as such. Basically, something that of course, it pretty much increases the resistance a little bit longer. In my case, because I have tested this against the Borg, and you know how the Borg do. Resistance is freaking futile. I can't change to keep my shields up for 1 second without some damn sphere making my shields useless. But you know, that's what Hull is for. Of course, I got Best Served Cold. This is from the winter event. If you don't got anything else, I just say use Tactical Team. Just use that. Kimmalite Lace Weaponry. If you do not have that, then use something else. Like, oh god, this is not a, ship. Let's see. Oh, she's temporal operative, so hold on, I gotta change her real quick. So, wow, why is her name all the way down there? But I recommend just put on Intelligence Team 1 if you cannot. And this is for the negative damage resistance to your enemy. This torpedo spread just to spray and pay, and the beam overload just because of course it's single targeting. And many people don't like that. They normally like fire at will, but you know me, I don't give a shit. Mixed armament synergies and alliance shield frequencies. Now, this replace that with narrow sensor bands. I don't know what to do. Structural integrity collapse. The structural integrity collapse, that you have to get off the Infinity Lockbox. You can find that on exchange. If not, just use engineering team to repair your hull for the most part, which you pretty much won't need. I recommend you probably use reverse shield polarity 1 or something like that, or emergency powered shields. Get some space for your engineering officer to do something else. I don't really know what he might do. Play with his fingers. And of course I have the Lucari because of course the Protomatter Specialist, which is the bonus shield and hull healing. Rosalina, she's a Krenim. She's a Krenim tactical officer. She reduces the tactical cooldowns. Rularan, he's a Kentari. For every kill I get a damage buff. And I do not know how to pronounce his name. He's a Jem'Hadar Vanguard, and of course it's the Superior Vanguard, I believe that's what it's called, Superior Vanguard. But whatchamacallit, it does increase crit chance, crit severity, and increase damage. And Savik, nothing. Pretty much nothing. I'm pretty much sure she's there for Space Barbie because of course I want a Vulcan officer, and there we go. Can I replace anything else? No, this is new. This is definitely new. I did this recently. Okay. So, of course, we're gonna have destabilized warp core. This does 8 kinetic damage every time of course, if the target dies within 15 seconds, it will explode again, dealing with some massive kinetic damage. Of course, out of combat, it's 8k, and it does pretty more, like I'm guessing 16k. It does some radiation damage, a little bit of radiation damage. It's only there to make things go kaboom. Structural integrity collapse, it does some physical damage, a little bit of physical damage, physical and kinetic damage resistance rating for 15 seconds. This will do good for a I guess, a science build. If you got some little engineering seating in that little Voyager mini ship of yours, then sure, go on ahead. And the two main things that you'll need in your life for a Miracle Worker ship to work properly is narrow sensor bands. This does 50 to 20% bonus energy damage, decreases within distance up to 6 kilometers, and this does immunity to Platate, Confuse, and some accuracy rating. And it clears all Platate and Confuses when activated. So basically, you're immune to shit. You're immune to Platate, you're immune to Confuse, you're immune to any kind of confusion. And it does some bonus damage on top of that, which is the cherry on top pretty much, and it does it for 10 seconds. I do not know the lockout, but I hope it's, I guess, 10 seconds or something. I don't know. Mixed Armament Synergy. This is the one that you guys will probably like the most. So any activating beam, cannon, mine, or torpedo will cause you to gain 50% bonus all damage for other 3 types of weapons. So of course, this is a massive buff. This is a buff all on its own. It's hella good. It's cracked pretty much. It's pretty it's good. If I found, like, if Temporal Heavy Dreadnoughts were Miracle Workers, shit, I might as well just go with that. Because of course it's Mixed Armament Synergy. But you know, that's what the VOD War Juggernaut's for, and that's why I'm not using it. So the reason why I'm not using that is because it's a Juggernaut, not to mention it's a lockbox ship. Not lockbox, it's a promo ship, which I used my event campaign token to get. So, we are going to the Dyson Sphere. Also, I mean to tell you guys, Cylindrical Quantum Slipstream Drive. You get that for, of course, you go super dumb fast. Of course, you go super fast, and you only get that for 90 seconds, which is, you can go across the damn map with it. And its recharge time is, last time I recharged it, it was 5 seconds. Recharges every 5 seconds. It's freaking cracked, dude. That's why I like Miracle Worker ships so much. You can travel through space. You're gonna feel like the Traveler pretty much. I say just have fun with it. Next one we're gonna do go to the Solanae. Hopefully nobody has killed anyone anyway. Hopefully not. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't care. Actually, I take that back. I do care, because of course they're killing time, and it's time for me to go soon. Because of course I'm gonna try to knock out 2 videos in one day. And, you know, see how that goes, for the most part. We're gonna go and try to speed this up a little bit. I would have beamed down, but you know that I can't expose my identity to you guys. I can't. Plus, I built a new suit as well. I built a new suit, and because of course I saw somebody else made one, I thought, ooh, maybe I can make one the same as his. And it looks so damn nice. It looks so nice. Yeah, I'm trying to talk to you guys. I'm trying to stall time because the ship is going a little bit too slow. But then again, my temporal dread is slower, so that's something to look at. Alright, so normally I go to the Voth battle zone to test and stuff like that. The Voth, they're my lab rats. They don't know it yet, but they're my lab rats. And it's good that they don't know that. Gives me a reason to, you know, obliterate them. Alright, so first we're gonna try not beam overload, we're gonna try fire at will. Because I know many people like fire at will. So why not fire at will? Oh, let's go ahead and activate that real quick. See, and once you look at that, all gone. Of course, not by my other standards, but it does pretty good. It does pretty good on its first try. Of course, there are plenty other fish in the sea, but we're gonna try to take this tower real quick, and we're gonna do one more test. But we're gonna do it with beam overload this time. Of course, I see why people like beam. Fired will a lot. Of course, you get to fire multiple enemy targets, and people like to disintegrate everything all at once instead of killing them slowly, painfully, and making them suffer a miserable, horrible death. But I kind of see that. You and I are not the same. Not gonna choose to it. 1701. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and go this way. I kind of don't expect any surprise from my son because I need these kills, to be fairly honest with you. I think he got revenge on me when I popped up in his live stream some time ago and stuff like that. I used a Thaleron pulse to obliterate everything with my scimitar. I mean, look, I don't regret anything. I don't regret nothing. Who the hell is that? Well, they did a shitty job. My turn. Okay, that's not bad either. Okay, so whatchamacallit? So beam overload, it's not bad. It isn't bad as far as whatchamacallit, as far as beam overload is. Now I kinda see why people choose scatter volley. I mean, not scatter volley, oh my goodness. I see why people are choosing fire at will more than beam overload. Because I don't think beam overload does a little bit any kind of damage. But of course, it kind of shows that fire at will, it's more like spinning around and destroying everything for the most part. It's pretty much most likely like that. And in case you guys are wondering for the visuals I'm using the Zhat-Vash. The Zhat-Vash, I got that out of pure luck. And I did the same, it's the same thing with the Section 31 Vanity Shield, which is what I use on my default ship. I normally use this, I'm just using the Zhat-Vash because the Section 31 is too, okay, let's not be racist here, but it's too black. It's a bit too dark. There, that's the best way to put it. It's too dark. It's way too dark. And I didn't like it because, of course, it made the nacelles dark. And I didn't like that either. We're gonna do one more test with fire at will. I was gonna say just one ship, really? Let's go ahead and destroy these before he does. So that wasn't too bad either. Well, I could say the Mirror Warship could have done better. And in fact, I might actually do that one next. But despite it not being a full anything ship, it doesn't do much. Yeah, so let's take care of this guy real quick. Oh, I really am bad at this. Yeah, I'm pretty bad. But at least it gives you a prime example of why I'm pretty bad, because I separated the chevron. So that's pretty bad. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. I don't think I got to the the space traits, did I? Most of the stuff is damage resistance. It's all damage resistance. This. All of it's damage resistance except for this and this. Make it go trait, it's crazy, it's insane, and it's wacky as hell. Which is why I like it. It's a bunch of crazy shit. This is what it looks like. Crazy bull. All that for 30 seconds. And it does it each time. Good day to die. Good for tactical characters. Not good if you're not tactical. It does go down fighting, which go down fighting's right here. Of course, it does 50% bonus damage. It's pretty crack, it's wild, and it's crazy. So that's pretty much all for today as far as that is going. So I am your host, Kakarete Karen, and goodbye. No, we're not hitting the word drive today.